Sci-fi can be bloody expensive to produce, which is a shame because for all intents and purposes it should be the one genre that is limitless in its potential. A way sci-fi properties have been able to overcome this budgeting issue is by swapping to less expensive platforms. Let's take Star Wars. It's been expanded to TV shows, books, movies, video games, toy lines, whatever. I've already done a full video already talking about why these kind of expanded universes can help keep a franchise alive, and how a lack of it is what's currently killing the Harry Potter franchise. That's right, I said Harry Potter, not Wizarding World. This is a hill I will die on. So many franchises have already learned from this, but if you clicked on this video, you know, of course, that I am talking about Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park is great. I like Jurassic Park.
What? You can tell?
I was brought up on Jurassic Park, and despite never actually delving into it in any of my videos so far, I can hand on heart say it's probably one of my favourite franchises ever. The first film is my favourite movie of all time. Jurassic Park: The Lost World, grossly underappreciated. Jurassic Park 3 exists. And then Jurassic World came out. Finally, years of being the weird dinosaur kid were justified. Thank you very much. Of all things to have an expanded universe though, Jurassic Park really isn't a name that jumps out. But I'm here to tell you guys that JP did and still does have a plethora of expanded universe. But only if you know the right place to look. Dominion has just come out and the world is again hungry for dinosaurs. So, as someone who knows far too much about this franchise, let's take a dive and see what Jurassic has to offer. Topps Comics acquired the Jurassic Park license with the release of the first film, and from then we got a line of comics that would last 5 years. At the start of this we have just plain and simply Jurassic Park. It's a straight up adaptation of the movie running for 4 issues. It's good. It's fine, it's fun, it has that classic 90s comic book art style and is definitely worth a look for any fan. In the trade paperback they even have a special 0 issue featuring a prequel story about Nedry. Yeah, good. But that's just adaptational material, it's not really expanding the universe. But that changes by the time we get to issue 5. A story simply called Raptor, this is the first sequel of any kind and takes place in the immediate aftermath of the films. We have Alan and Ellie returning to Isla Nublar to assist with the recapture of the dinosaurs, but end up running into a mercenary called George Larala. He kidnaps the two and then the story swaps the island out in exchange for the Colombian jungle, and we learn that drug lord Santos hired to capture raptors to be his new guard dogs, each named Celia, Alf and Betty. Back on Isla Nublar, news gets back to Malcolm about their disappearance and he begins to organise a government search, which is backed up by the surprise reintroduction of Robert Muldoon. Apparently he just walks off his death. No, really, when Malcolm's like, you're alive, he literally shrugs and says he knows how predators hunt and knows exactly how to fight one off. Sure you did. Rather interestingly, we also learn there's a bit of a rival going on between Muldoon and Larlois. They used to be blood brothers back when they were both in Africa. Doesn't leave any kind of impact on the plot, but I love this kind of world building. It keeps the universe real. Far more effort than it needs to put into. They eventually catch up to the raptors and meet Dr. LaDonna Belvedere, an animal behaviourist. And using her speciality at communicating with intelligent creatures, she is able to talk to the raptors. That's right, all that flack you want to give the Jurassic World franchise, Jurassic Park was doing it in 1994. To sum it all up, the story comes to a head where it turns out Biosyn has been manipulating the events all along. They were the ones that told Santos where to get the raptors. Dr. Belvedere is on their payroll, and it was all in effort to get dinosaurs on the mainland for their own Jurassic Park. I like this story. It's a little cheesy, but I really have to commend the story for the role it gives to the raptors. Celia, Alf and Betty stop being hostile towards Alan and Ellie when they figure out that they are here to help them. They're portrayed as calculating and intelligent, far more humane than how the original movie portrays them only as monsters. It's got a fresh take on the dinosaurs, some brilliant world building, and come on, look at these covers. These comics hit it out of the park. Pun intended. There's also a bunch of stuff I didn't mention. There's a side plot going on with Hammond fighting for control of the company. Malcolm gets a fever and is down for most of the count. Shocker, I know. But take it as JP has hit the ground running so far. As far for where they sit in canon, I mean, nothing's ever done in the movies to contradict it. And let's be fair, everything Dr. Belvedere had going on with the Raptors was extremely foreshadowing the way the franchise was going to turn anyway. Look, I know it's got a bit of a campy plot, so I'm not going to make the argument. But if it was canon, I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world. After the Raptors trilogy, Topps had another run of comics called Return to Jurassic Park, which ran for 9 issues and dealt with the group now returning to Isla Nublar, only to find it under military occupation. The story for this one doesn't hold up. It starts off with this mystery about something called the Green Flame, which gets built up and then completely forgotten about halfway through. The writers were changed out at the midway point, and you can tell. The plot does a complete 180. It's got pretty covers, the art's still nice, but it's all around a bit too incomprehensible to be a good follow-up to the success of Raptor. So entirely composing Topps Comics contributions, we have 4-issue adaptation of the original story, a 2-issue, 4-issue, and 4-issue overarching spin-off about the Raptors, a 9-issue Return to Jurassic Park series, and then in 1997, The Lost World released, and so that got its own comic book adaptation, bringing it all full circle. It's not a bad roster. It's child-orientated and campy fun. Oh, wait, no, Jurassic Park fans hate that, don't they? Yeah, no, absolutely awful, stay away, avoid at all cost. Both Ocean Software and Sega released game adaptations of that first movie, but I say adaptations very loosely. These really were just platformers and shooting games, but with a nice splash of Jurassic paint over them. And we'd also get The Lost World Jurassic Park on PlayStation. This one is a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine. I do admit you play as a human, compy, raptor, or, finally, the first game to do it, the Tyrannosaurus. It's a pretty cool concept. The game holds up well, but again, it's just kind of a rehash of other genres. In fact, I'm gonna have to cut out most Jurassic Park video games going forward because typically they all fall into one of 2 genres: arcade-style shoot-em-ups or roller coaster tycoon park builders. Anything that falls under that, not mentioning. Sorry Genesis, Lego JP, and Evolution, you're all great, but we're looking for additions to the canon. And in 1998, we got exactly that. Trespasser is the first full attempt at a video game sequel to a Jurassic Park movie, taking place 1 year after the events of The Lost World. It's an action-adventure game that's a bit more adventure than action, but is very narratively driven. You play as Anne, a plane crash survivor who tries to fight her way across Isla Sorna to safety. The gameplay mostly consists of evading or fighting dinosaurs, depending on how you choose to play, and quite a few puzzles. What makes this game a true contender for the list, and the reason why you want to play this, are the memoirs of one John Hammond. Richard Attenborough himself returns to the role for one last run and gives the performance of a lifetime as you listen to him detail everything from the first idea he had of Jurassic Park, all the way to its eventual building. There's even some stuff in there that would end up being referenced in Fallen Kingdom. It is beautiful.
My name is John Parker Hammond. I was born on March 14th, 1928.
If you can forgive the graphics at the time, this game scratches an itch I ain't ever know I needed scratching. You found out so much about InGen and the universe through an almost Resident Evil style technique of environmental storytelling. You find out Sorna was inhabited by Mayans before InGen moved in. You found out Wu keeps getting annoyed because the other InGen workers keep pissing in his pool. You find Dennis Nedry's bedroom and a mace from Dungeons & Dragons, which you can use to fight the dinosaurs with. This sounds amazing, right? It wasn't. In fact, Alex Hutala of Computer and Video Games described it as possibly the worst game I've ever played. See, as ambitious as the gameplay was, that was exactly the issue. This video game pioneered new technology, that of real-life physics. bumping into things caused them to actually fall over. Your gun could be knocked from your hand. The dinosaurs' movements are actually them moving, not a recycled animation. And unfortunately, the technology required to properly utilize this just didn't really exist yet. The bloody thing didn't work. Barely anyone could get it playing, which means all this fantastic lore, nobody saw it. A valiant attempt, but absolutely awful. Look, I liked Jurassic Park 3 as a kid, okay? My opinion of it seems to change regularly depending on whose company I'm in. I'm around someone that loves it? How can you write that pathetic, poorly written, irrelevant dinosaurs on an island excuse for a Jurassic Park movie? I'm with someone that hates it? Hey. Studio was under a lot of pressure making it. Special effects are amazing. Aviary scene? Unmatched. Leave it alone. Jurassic Park 3 is a very weird movie.
Hadley.
Jurassic Park Adventures is a trilogy of tie-in novels that focus on the main cast of this movie. It's 3 novels: Survivor, Prey, and Flyers. Survivor is an in-universe book written from the point of view of Eric Kirby, as he recounts his time surviving on Isla Sorna. Prey is set after Jurassic Park 3 and has Alan Grant, now opinions on living dinosaurs apparently changed, leading a group of scientists to set up a ranger station on Sorna to study the dinosaurs. It goes perfectly fine. And then Flyers deal with the flock of pteranodon that escaped at the end of the movie, attacking Universal Studios in Florida, where the Kirbys and Dr. Grant are coincidentally vacationing together. Good for them. And the books are quite good, actually. A kid alone on a dinosaur-infested island for 8 weeks, that's a story that could have made a movie on its own. And the mystery of what happens to the pteranodons is a question the franchise has answered 3 times now. Obviously, these are written for kids, so they don't go too deep into the horror or deeper aspects. Look, if you absolutely love Jurassic Park 3 and you are dying to get more content from the franchise around this time, these will serve you fine. Oh, no, I suppose they are written for kids, though. Yeah, no, awful, no, sorry. In the wilderness years between the death of Jurassic Park and the rebirth of Jurassic Worlds, there were attempts to keep the franchise going. Topps was now long out of business and they passed the JP license on to IDW, who produced some mixed results. The first of these was Jurassic Park Redemption, which has a now full-grown Timmy looking to open his own Jurassic Park, this time fully herbivorous. Props to them for actually being intelligent about that for once. Unfortunately, this story is basically impossible to sit through because instead of having Henry Wu make the dinosaurs, this time it was clearly Rob Liefeld. The art in these is so f***ing ugly, oh my god, what is that? What is that?
Jurassic Park Redemption
is unique. I can see that. Nerve. She had the nerve to wear those ugly ass.
Bad artwork.
I give that to her.
Peter Ledlow comes back at the end looking like an even more f***ed up Palpatine. I just spoiled the big revelation so you do not have to read this. What is that? What is that? Jurassic Park Devils in a Desert is a short and contained tribute to dinosaur westerns. Mysterious animal attacks are slaying humans and cattle alike, so a detective is brought in to weigh in on it. It's them pesky pteranodons again. God, I'm actually sweating. Redemption got me messed up. It's a one-off creature feature, very Valley of Gwangi vibes, and I will say the ending actually surprised me. I don't know what you want from me, this is the best that IDW gets. It's not amazing, but it's passable, it's good, it's okay. The last in IDW's entry is Jurassic Park Dangerous Games, which is a interesting one. The plot is so-and-so. Actually, no, you know what, no, okay, I don't like it. Isla Nublar and the ruins of Jurassic Park have been taken over by drug lords. How do we always end up here? And a CIA agent tries to take them down. The dinosaurs all have feathers now. There's no explanation given to that, but I don't care, it's the first time we've ever had fully feathered dinosaurs in the franchise, and they are gorgeous. All of this book is, in fact, look at this artwork. I don't like the plot in this one, it's so detached from the original, it's basically a whole different franchise, but, I mean, look at it! I have never had such mixed feelings on a product before. And I will give this story the credit that nobody seems to give it. Again, we have a human forming a relationship with a raptor before it was cool. And low-key, Dr. Francis Y is primo waifu material, you know what I'm saying? IDW's Jurassic Park comics are a mixed but mostly negative bag. You either have an interesting plot with absolutely eye-burning artwork, what is that? Or a crappy one with godly visuals. Or you get something nice in the middle, like you do with Devils in the Desert. Next, shortly after this time, Telltale Games, who by the way, big fan of, John Carpenter's The Thing game, When, please, did a Jurassic Park game that was very much in the same vein of Trespasser, in being an absolute love letter to the fans. No, literally, look, this has got a special edition with a Welcome to Jurassic Park employee letter signed by John Hammond himself. I have this framed on my wall in my little display. You also get this field guide, a badge, a brochure. I love this stuff, okay? I am a huge slut for in-universe promotional material. Released episodically, our main character is Jerry Harding, a park keeper who featured heavily in the book but had his role significantly cut down in the film. He also apparently wears a fake mustache while tending to the Triceratops. He's also the father of Sarah Harding from The Lost World, and we find out she has a half-sister called Jess, who is our other main protagonist. Jess is visiting the island when the Isla Nublar incident happens. They miss the evacuation and end up getting left behind. This is all happening on one side of the island, but on the other we have Biosyn's Plan B, a mercenary called Nima Cruz whose job it is to retrieve the Barbasol can if Nedry was unable to make the deadline. That's right, we're finally addressing that bloody canister of embryos Nedry left behind. How have we had so much sequel material and yet nothing has ever explored this idea before? Then at the start of episode 2 we get Billy, Yoda and Oscar Morales, the cavalry InGen sends in to search for survivors. Obviously all these guys end up meeting up and having to work together to survive the island. There's also a secondary plot in which we learn about Dr. Laura Sorkin, Wu's rival, who's essentially his foil. She values a dinosaur's life so strongly that she'll chuck humans under the bus for their safety. To the point where she's ordered to kill the dangerous hybrid Troodonts, which are absolutely shit your f***ing pants terrifying. She doesn't and keeps them alive in a secret facility. Foreshadowing. They're also beta testing a marine facility that has a mosasaur. Foreshadowing. And hell, in a tremendous bout of continuity, we also found out Nima and Oscar were originally from Isla Nublar when InGen moved in and kicked all the natives off the island, tying back into the temple ruins we saw on Sauna in Trespasser. Good job, Telltale, you did your homework. It's all quite good, but again, the gameplay left a lot to be desired. I don't know why they didn't stick to the Walking Dead style of free-roaming, narrative-driven gameplay, but this is essentially a point-and-click game. It's a very advanced visual novel. The most involved you will be in this game is tapping. A lot of tapping. If you're here for the lore, then my god does it deliver. But just watch a playthrough of it, man. Honestly. Absolutely awful. Sorry, I'm just choosing to film this in the middle of a heat wave because I'm an idiot. You think that now we have Jurassic World and the franchise has been brought back to life, there'd be a big increase in expanded media. You're both right and very wrong. The art of supplementary media has changed a lot in the modern day. Have you noticed that there's just no such thing as movie tie-in games or comic books anymore? That's because, well, with the rise of the internet, they don't really need to be. Instead, for Jurassic World, we got 2 in-universe viral marketing websites. One for the fictional Masrani Global Corporation and one for the Jurassic World theme park. Both of these sites featured a boatload of information that was absent from the films. Details of Masrani's purchase over InGen, the park's rebuilding, the actors giving in-character interviews, and the theme park websites work like Universal or Disney's do, including hotel accommodations, weather reports, and wait time for rides. They were both really immersive. And then for Fallen Kingdom, Universal kept this going with the Dinosaur Protection Group. It rallied support for the group in its efforts to save the island's dinosaurs. Again, it included all new sorts of lore. My favourite pieces are explaining that InGen never left the island after retaking it in the Lost World, and went on to illegally breed a number of species, the more intelligent JP3 raptors, and officially retconning the Spinosaurus into the series' first super hybrid. Suddenly, all it's talking of the cast like a serial killer and behaving entirely unlike an animal, fine with that now. I love that kind of retcon. And for the third installment, Universal launched the Dino Tracker website, a tool hosted by the Department of Prehistoric Wildlife for tracking and reporting dinosaurs in the wild. This one is probably my favourite because their entire advertising is based around allegedly sent in footage of dinosaurs in the wild. It really put the world into Jurassic World. And they brought back the JP3 Raptors. Hype. I love these in-universe websites. It's more subtle advertising, but I feel it comes with an air of accomplishment for the fans. There's discussion there, interactions, Twitter theories. It's a breeding ground for fan activity. And come on, if there's one thing that's obvious, it's that JP might be good at lore, but awful at doing anything with it. So maybe swapping all of that for a platform entirely based on investigation and discussion works for the best. It's kind of boring though. Some might even say absolutely awful. There are two types of people when it comes to Camp Cretaceous. There's the adult fans who despise it. How dare they make a child's TV show about my dark and gritty franchise? Jurassic Park has literally never been made to appeal for kids. They're not who the franchise is for. There's not going to be any gore. It's an insult to the fans. Absolutely awful. And then there's the people who have actually watched it. Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous is so good. It follows 6 teenagers as they're invited to beta test a sort of Jurassic-themed summer camp happening on Isla Nublar, before, during, and after the events of the Jurassic World movie. As far as the kid characters go, Jurassic Park has always been relatively low offending, but these guys are really genuinely enjoyable to follow. Their interactions are honest and real. They actually feel like young people written by adults, but without being cringy or annoying. At first, you'll find yourself rolling your eyes at some of them, but they genuinely grow on you. This is like a really stupid thing to focus on, but Brooklyn, the influencer character, I know, starts off with completely pastel hair, and then by the 4th series, which is 6 months later in canon, her roots are showing. I just think that's really cool. They're not using it being a kid's show as an excuse for low effort. The characters spend their time on the island trying to survive, but for as many big action pieces there are, there's also a lot of downtime, where they're just exploring the facilities, crafting, or just chilling. That's because the dinosaurs in this act like animals, not monsters. If you're doing a multiple episode series and not just a 2-hour film, the story really can't justify being a constant struggle against the dinosaurs. Ask any paleontologist. The damage that Jurassic Park did in creating this public image of dinosaurs as bloodthirsty monsters is irreversible. Slowly, the franchise has been trying to mend this. It's not been entirely successful at it, but Camp Cretaceous is one of its better examples. The show has had 4 seasons so far, with a 5th and final confirmed to be on its way. Honestly, it may be perhaps the only thing, maybe with the exception of some bits of Jurassic World, that properly taps into the magic of that very first movie. It's childish fun being polluted by the hubris of adults. What is that first movie, if not that? Seriously, Jurassic Park has been a franchise for everyone. Adults and children, don't fool yourself. And, look, if you're part of the argument that says, oh, well, there'll be no stakes because you know nobody's going to die. 4 words for you, pal. Avatar: The Last Airbender. Is Airbender 2 words? Properties that don't just kill for drama means that they have to actually put effort into their character arcs. I'm more inclined to watch something that I know doesn't rely on death as its only source of drama. Okay, how many core characters did they kill off in Breaking Bad versus The Walking Dead? And then which one of those is the better show? And oh my god, the E750, you can shut your mouth about it not being scary. The prototype for the Indominus that even Dr. Wu agreed was too dangerous to keep alive. Absolute bloody nightmare fuel. This part of the script was really hard to write because I've got a lot to say about this. So if you guys want like a full-length review of Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, give us a shout because I will more than happily oblige. So to sum it all up, the top comics were good for what they were, campy fun. Trespasser, despite being plagued with issues, is a nice addition to the franchise, though it stumbles on arrival. Telltale's attempt was appreciated, but also a bit of a false start. And don't get me started on IDW. What is? Camp Cretaceous, on the other hand, is the best we have ever had, and proves that fully committing to Jurassic as a multi-property universe can work. And in case you didn't notice, these weren't so much listed by quality, but rather for each movie they were released for, since this is supposed to be spin-off material. I know Dominion also had Battle at Big Rock and the prologue. It kind of feels like they were testing the waters for how a full-blown live-action series could sit. Hopefully, something is followed through with that, because it'd be a shame to just see those short films end up on the Blu-ray extras in the future. Honestly, when I came up with the idea for this video, I was going to do it as a quick summing up of every spin-off the franchise has had. But I had such a good time making it, and it turns out far more opinions about the Jurassic Park Expanded Universe than I ever thought I had, that I would happily devote entire videos to reviewing each of these individually, should you guys want it. But there's something better. As good lore as Trespasser and Telltale, and as fun to sit through as Camp Cretaceous, I'm telling you that there is one thing left that blows all of those out of the water. But if you want me to tell you about it, you're gonna have to say the magic word.